Hello, I'm back from Vegas. Vegas was awesome. Thank you so much to everyone who stopped by my booth or otherwise caught me over the course of the weekend for signatures and stories and whatnot. It really made my con. It was fun, fantastic meeting so many of you. I am a little bit backlogged after Vegas, so I have a whole bunch of emails, DMs, YouTube comments, all that sort of stuff that I will slowly start getting to over the next week or so. With that being said, let's get into today's video because it is spicy. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another legacy video, and Sean gave me a dealer's choice donation deck list, and I'm going to use this to play something pretty spicy. I'm actually re-recording this deck tech because I learned some things in future rounds that I want to be in the intro here. So this was from a small Japanese event. The list is by Satoru Irasawa, and it is sort of a strange self-mill cascade deck list. So one of the most powerful things that this deck can do is play Crashing Footfalls, and it can always do so if Bloodbraid Marauder has Delirium. You'll notice that this is a very 2-drop heavy deck list. This is so that Bloodbraid Marauder always goes and hits Crashing Footfalls, and so that Amped Raptor usually hits something relevant off of its own pseudo cascade ability. Now I say usually because this deck is playing a bunch of spirit guides, and it maybe isn't immediately obvious why. The goal here is to be able to cast something like a Malevolent Rumble or some of the other cards that are very similar to it on turn 1. You can potentially, if you have multiple spirit guides, like go land, spirit guide, Malevolent Rumble, second spirit guide, Bloodbraid Marauder, and to just do the thing, creating 11 power on turn 1, 8 from your rhinos, and then 3 from your Bloodbraid Marauder itself. And that is something very strong that the deck is capable of doing. It does have some plan Bs within it. You can just make a couple of green creatures with landfall, and then power out a Hogaak, as you are relatively good at milling your own cards. Or, if you can manage to get 3 copies of Say Its Name in your graveyard, either by casting them or milling them, whatever, you can exile all of those to put Altanach the Thrice Called directly into play. And there's a few other things happening around the edges here, with Detective's Phoenix being another thing you can cast from graveyard or to give your creatures haste. And you could potentially also do some other smaller combos, like using Grist with Springheart Nantucket to get a bunch of value. The sideboard has some traditional Jund-looking stuff here. Notably, there are a couple of ancient tombs. Well, no, sorry. There's one ancient tomb within the deck list, so this can, in theory, power out some cards ahead of time. There's a bunch of strange singletons in the deck list. The deck really needs Delirium, so some strain is put on the deck list by putting in cards that just have multiple types on the type line, so that you can enable Delirium earlier. So this deck is really neat. I hope you all will enjoy it. Now, today's video is sponsored by a friend of mine, Tim, aka Gold Sabertooth, who has launched a Kickstarter for some really sweet playmats. If you are interested in some awesome art like what you are seeing on the screen here, as well as potentially other things like t-shirts, tokens, or stickers, please consider checking this out. It has a lot of really sweet commanders, especially if you are a part of the CEDH scene. You are going to recognize a lot of these. I'll link directly to it down in the comments below, or you can just go to Kickstarter directly and check out Gold Sabertooth Presents The Commander Pantheon. And as always, we are also sponsored by TOAMagic.com. I bought a bunch of stuff from Tales of Adventure in Vegas, including a lot of stuff like the Lord of Pain for my new Commander deck list. And, you know, should you need a graded Black Lotus, they've even got that. Promo code ThrabenU could save you 5% on your order of a Black Lotus. Even get free shipping. All right, let's battle. Okay, so this first hand here has a single land. We can suspend this, but I don't think I'm doing much without 2 lands in this deck, so we're going to mulligan that. Yeah, this is probably fine. I'm going to assume that we can keep this pitching 1 Spirit Guide, and this probably works out. Oh, it says love the channel. Well, you're in a video. Ooh, we might have some 8-cast action. I haven't seen some 8-cast in a little while, so that's actually kind of exciting. No immediate play, though. So, are we just YOLOing? Yeah. Let's YOLO. Yeah. Alright, so we cast this. We don't have Delirium, but we just made 5 power on turn 1. That's fine. And we can potentially bestow onto another creature, maybe another amped raptor, to accrue some energy for a little bit later. Now there's Metalcraft for Opal. Oh, hoo, hoo, hoo. All right. I haven't seen this card in, I think, a couple of months. But this card fucks. I love this card so much. We are probably going to want to get damage in early here. So, does the energy matter, or does the slightly larger body matter? I think the energy? This also just has first strike, which might become relevant. My opponent is pretty likely to clog the board with Simulacrum Synthesizer here. I can just bestow more as well. Ooh, you've got it. Give me one more turn without making a giant construct, and I think I've got a good chance. Oh, this is so much value. So that is a draw 3 while making a giant artifact. This is not good. We're not so much with the removal in my deck. Oh god. There's more. And this also makes another friend. Alright. Ground is clogged. Oh, fuck. No. Yep. Okay. It's cool. There's only like 40 power over there. Yeah, I think we just got shown up, folks. That was impressive. I've got some Force of Vigor type stuff that'll help out a lot here. Like Force of Vigor and Collector Oof are both great. So conceptually, I want to go under my opponent and limp over the finish line, I think. My Spirit Guides can help with that. Blood Moon has some real text versus Urza Saga in particular, but knocking my opponent off of colored mana might not actually be all that great. And Dismember might not actually kill the stuff that I need it to kill. Let's assume this game doesn't go long enough for this to matter. Let's maybe trim some Hogaaks. We're kind of trying to win with this stuff over here, I think. The bestow cost requires me to collect Evidence 6, which is, generally speaking, quite a bit. If we make that swap. Okay. How many cards go into Graveyard off this? 4 cards? This can probably be a keep. Especially with this one, actually. Yeah, with double Spirit Guide, I think this is probably going to work. I guess there's some variance to it, right? I will cast a Malevolent Rumble here. Land, creature, instant, sorcery. I'm going to take a, like, Yavimaya to hand here to guarantee that I can do my thing next turn as well. All right, so we have Delirium, which means that on turn 1, I can cascade into rhinos. All right, hell yeah. All right, so that was 4 mana worth of spells on turn 1 and 11 power. Okay, that was impressive. That's what we want to be doing. And we can just do it again on turn 2. Scry 2? Yeah, Scry 2 and can be sacrificed to draw 2 cards. This is mostly just an artifact that can be played out early to increase artifact count for Affinity and Metalcraft. So, once more, with feeling. Well, that was nuts. So it's turn 2, I have 22 power in play? Yeah. Alright. You ran over me, I ran over you. We'll do one more of these and see who comes out on top. Yeah, I get the Spirit Guides now. So the goal is exactly what I just did. Okay, so we could keep an Amped Raptor hand like before with no acceleration, But after seeing what this deck is capable of, I don't know that I should just keep a fair hand like this when I know that my opponent is going to bury me if I don't go fast. Here is a Force of Vigor. This I now think is perfectly playable. We don't necessarily do some of the coolest possible things early, but I can probably Force of Vigor a land in a Mox or maybe 2 lands or something like that and really pull ahead. And then if we get a little lucky with Amped Raptor... Oh no, opponent. Now that is an indestructible land, so I'm not going to get to take that one for free. Alright. So I'm just passing the turn this time. Alright, this I can get rid of. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's possible another relevant card comes out here if I don't remove both of these immediately. It's fine unless it's the draw 2 one. I think I'm just letting it resolve. Yeah, I accept. My opponent is still ultimately down a few cards, but sometimes my opponent needs the blue to cast a Simulacrum Synthesizer, and I get massively paid off for waiting. Alright. 3rd mana here. Don't know that 3rd mana is relevant this turn. I think we're going to go ahead and fire this off and see what happens with it. Say its name. Yeah, I mean, I'm good with that. So I will have Artifact and land in graveyard and sorcery. I can get instant in their next turn. Yeah, Artifact, land, instant, sorcery. This is fine. I think I'm going to give my opponent the Tree of Tails for 1 turn. Yeah, this is much more attractive. Now are we fine with just nuking 2 lands? Now I think I'm fine with nuking 2 lands. Let's go bam, bam. I'm making red creatures right now. Hogaak's not, like, the best. And then my opponent can draw there, too. I think it's also perfectly valid to just, like, let them keep their mana and then answer things like Simulacrum Synthesizer or Urza Saga that get into play. I think both approaches lead to very, very strong things happening. So I have guaranteed 4 types in graveyard here. I can probably do this, hit a land, and then cast this. I don't know that I want to risk the miss, though. So let's go ahead and just do this immediately. Nice. Footfalls. And this is going to finish off the game very, very quickly here. Hopefully before my opponent can start drawing out of their mulligan to 4. Another indestructible land. Sure. This is a great moment for a synthesizer. My opponent does have one. Now, there's only 5 artifacts in play, so we are probably dodging the scariest things in the short term here. Opponent did not like either of their cards. So let's do the one that goes 4 deep. Actually, I can attack with this. This can get blocked, and then I can get it back. Yeah, and then just fire it off again. Yeah, so it's better to wait until post-combat. Okay. Opponent goes to 16 from first strike, and then down to 5. Now I'll do the one that goes 4 deep. Yeah. Springheart Nantucko? Yeah, I guess Springheart Nantucko is fine. We'll bestow it onto the first striker? Onto the trampler? Let's go here. Not really sure about that one. Oh, opponent says cool deck, GG. Yeah, we were doing powerful things there. I'm not entirely sure that I played that one correctly, but after my opponent mulliganed to 4, it maybe doesn't matter.
Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, just the best place to keep your online deck lists, and the reason I say that is it just has so much functionality. So for example, let's take a look at some random legacy deck here. You can click on your various 2-drop slots, and you can see what % chance you have of casting various things on curve, and you can get a breakdown of your mana symbols and all of that stuff, and there's a lot more here than just this. Consider checking it out.
Okay, keeping in mind what we learned from playing the last round, our hands with Spirit Guides are going to look pretty good. This doesn't have Spirit Guides. It probably makes 11 power on turn 3. I'm going to say that after a mulligan, that's probably good enough. And maybe sometimes we rip a Spirit Guide to try it on turn 2. So I think I'll pitch the Hogaak here. And we're just making a land drop and passing. My lands got better. Sure, that's fine. I don't have a Surveil land in this deck, do I? No, I don't. I just need everything untapped. That's fine then. Detectives, Phoenix. So we're gonna land drop, get a Taiga here, and do I have Malevolent Rumble to set up Marauder, or do I just play Amped Raptor? I think I'm in a Malevolent Rumble, but I'm not 100% sure about that. So I will have land, sorcery, creature, enchantment. Let's send another Amped Raptor to hand. And next turn can probably look pretty good. Wasteland's really good here. Like, I need red right now to do everything in my hand except Springheart and Nantucko. Take one. Never didn't have it. I think we Cascade first here. So let's just make a bunch of rhinos. Feels good. We've got 11 power. And on top of that, we can maybe Amped Raptor once or twice next turn. My opponent could have some relatively powerful utility lands in their deck. Or could potentially just 2020 me. Yeah. So what's coming is end of turn Dryad Arbor into Merit Lage. Then tap 1, 2, Thespian Stage, copy, 2020. If they have another land, they equip and I die. So I need to play this as a blocker in order to survive. So send it, send it, send it. All right, so here we're going to see the crop rotation effect of Elvish Reclaimer. Yup. Now we've made our opponent commit to the Dark Depths. There it is. Down to 12. We are just straight up casting this as a flying blocker that gets us through the next turn. Now, there is still the problem of killing our opponent. Ooh, fuck that. That sucks. So now my opponent makes their 2020 copy, and this had the upside of being mana for Lava Spur Boots while also taking my Detective's Phoenix out of the way. All right, I'm slightly salty about that one. That's rough. Okay. So I have some various things that I can be thinking about. I've not put a Hogaak into play yet. It, in theory, is relatively easy to do in the longer games because I will just have a bunch of critters from landfall. But the stuff that I want to play early, they are red creatures, which don't contribute to Hogaak, which I'm seeing as a problem. The rhinos can also cast Hogaak, but then the rhinos aren't attacking, which is weird. Do I get to board in this many pieces of interaction with this deck? Unsure. Grist feels slow. This stuff feels slow. I don't know that I get to cut all of it. I can maybe do something like this. Sylvan Library is kind of slow. That can probably go. I can Blood Moon relatively quickly here. Yeah. This is a perfectly reasonable hand that I think loses. Let's try to find some Spirit Guides or something. Yeah, this is just gonna go faster. Am I willing to YOLO on Amped Raptor early on? I think I am. I'm going to get rid of the card that is most expensive on the surface. I think this still needs to be a Taiga. And let's hope this goes well. Ha! Well, you know. Oseiju. Sure. That's fine, but scary. I don't have mana for this now. So we see if we race. My opponent's Exploration might make it so that I don't. Like, they can just have natural Dark Depths plus another land here, and then they beat me. Fuck. Double fuck. Yeah, that does it. So I can attack them for 6, put them to 4, and then I get 20'd. Yeah. Dead. Yeah, I can't cast any spells. I'm dead in the air. Yep. Wow, I apologize for my 10 power on turn 1 not being enough. Okay, so this hand doesn't really do anything. I could naturally suspend this, which isn't fast enough for Legacy. I could play this on turn 1, which is not exciting. I don't have Delirium or anything close to it for this. I think we'll just ship this one. Blah. How do I feel about turn 1 Spring Heart on 6, though? Still not the best. Like, if I turn 1 Spring Heart, I make 2 1/1s on turn 2, and 2 1/1s on turn 3, and play Grist on turn 3. Alright. I'm not thrilled about it. I don't know that I should go to 5. Sure. There's a fetch, followed by a Dryad Arbor. May end up playing against something similar to what we saw last round. I don't think Malevolent Rumble changes my plan here. Let's just grab a basic here, and hope that our landfall friends get to do something. We could be playing against some sort of guy's Cradle deck, we could be playing against a Nadu deck list with Green Suns, Once Upon a Times for selection, that sort of stuff. This is looking more like it could be a fair Knight of the Reliquary pile. And we are, I would say, a little bit behind now. That's a good draw. We can buy you here. Use a Spirit Guide to power out the Grist, and while we're not going to remove Dryad Arbor immediately, Dryad Arbor is not threatening to our own Grist here. A Hogaak! Hello, friend. That is actually going to be a very, very castable card. Potentially Grist plus next turn to just put that into play. Although I am unsure whether or not Grist plus Hogaak will be better than just minusing and removing some Knight of the Reliquary style creature that makes its way into play. We'll have to see. I think I'm okay trading for Dryad Arbor here. I can just Malevolent Rumble an Eldrazi token into play. Like, I think my opponent is trying to bait me into blocking so that they can play a scarier creature that they get to keep. Yeah. And we're just going to say no to that. So I'll fetch Taiga? It could probably just be a basic. Hey, the Thalia attacks here. I would love a Bloodbraid Marauder for next turn. We make our spawn. We'll Grist minus. Nuke the Thalia out of play. We want to nuke Thalia because I would like to cascade into cool stuff next turn. Oh wait, hold up. Am I not cascading next turn? Despite having this many cards in graveyard? I guess it depends on what Grist hits. I just kind of assumed that that was going to be live. Maybe I should have considered just playing Hogaak then. Alright, yeah, there's Knight of the Reliquary. I guess it's awkward if I Hogaak and my opponent just has Karakas. Oh, sure. Yeah, and that was Endurance pitching Endurance, so my opponent certainly had one before this all started. So, let's plus... Alright, 2 things in graveyard. So I think we are okay just naturally suspending one of these and gearing up for a slightly longer game. There we go. We're still perfectly fine and good versus the Knight of the Reliquary type cards that get played out. I can remove 2 of those. I can Sylvan Library my way into some new cards. This is like surprisingly annoying against what I've got going on here. My opponent's going to be pretty good at keeping graveyards in check. Yes, I would like to draw some more cards. Am I playing Amped Raptor? Probably. Let's put this one back, and I'll just cascade past, pseudo-cascade past it. I will pay 4 life for this Wasteland, though. So, yeah. Oh, I need to pay red. Okay. So, yeah and yeah. We'll see what happens with this trigger. What just entered the revealed zone? I think Detective's Phoenix. I can't cast that. So I don't get my value, but I do get to keep my energy. So I can Wasteland my opponent off of Savannah, and that's enough for the win. Alright, so I've got to keep in mind that my graveyard is not super safe here. I like Dismembers. I think Blood Moons and Endurances are potentially playable. I don't like this legendary creature. It's slow to begin with, and my opponent potentially has the ability to tutor up Karakas at will. I'm going to go down one of these, and then I'm going to think about Endurance and Blood Moon. I don't really want to make my deck slower. Blood Moon might just be a free roll win button that I am willing to do. So I guess with Bloodbraid Marauder, as long as I put this trigger on the stack, it doesn't matter if my opponent Endurance is in response. So they need to be proactive about Endurancing. That seems fine. I think I want to keep at least a Phoenix. Trim 1 random Graveyard Enabler. Am I willing to just suspend Crashing Footfalls on turn 1 and play fair in that capacity? I don't know that I'm excited about it. I think I'm willing to do it. This lets me Springheart Nantucko with 2 landfall triggers on turn 2. I don't know, this might just be too slow. in my deck that doesn't really remove creatures. So my opponent could be playing a Knight of the Reliquary on turn 2. And I don't know that my Springheart Nantucko lines up the best versus that. Alright. Well, we'll suspend and pass. If my opponent didn't play a Mana Dork, I think I would be looking pretty heavily at Wastelanding there. But they're still ahead in terms of mana curve, even if I do Wasteland. There's a Mom and a Bird. Man, what if I had Furies in my deck? What if I had Furies in my deck? What would that be like? So we will cast a Springheart Nantucko, play a land, get my landfall trigger, and I think fetch immediately, just guarantee that I get the other one here. Or maybe looking to play Say Its Name and find a Hogaak? Well, fuck me. Sure. That makes my turn significantly worse, because now I can't just immediately go and hit the Hogaak that I'm looking for. I can get this back for next turn. This is awkward. I really want the Amped Raptor, but I'm probably getting Wastelanded. I think that means I'm getting the castable card and passing. A lot of how scary this game is going to be depends on how good my opponent's play is this turn. Like, the Wasteland is fine, but if it's like Wasteland followed by Knight, I think I'm really, really far behind. Alright. It is the Curator. This gets to keep my various creature types in check. We have Crashing Footfalls coming. Keen-Eyed Curator probably ends up being a 7/7 by the time that these happen, though. I mean, honestly, it's a 7/7 next turn. Alright. So I'll make a 2/2 and pass the turn. I think my start was too slow. My opponent's hand isn't even like that great. Like, things could have been much worse, but I still don't think I'm doing something fast enough here. Does he get trampled too? Yeah. Not great versus my pile of 1/1s. So Exalted happens. I may be taking 8 on this attack. Seems likely. My opponent's going to end up with 4 cards under this. And there's the 4 different types, so it is 8 damage. Which is rough. So there's also Mom protection here as a thing. So life's not great. I can make a few friends. And I guess Wasteland my opponent. This attack doesn't actually do anything. But I guess we can make them tap their Mother Runes. Or take 3. They took 3. So Exalted happens. I always take 8. Well, I almost always take 8 next turn. So saving 2 life right now matter? Probably not. Probably not. Can't top deck Grist. Crashing Footfalls doesn't matter because of Mom. I don't know what I'm looking for. Probably game 3. Game 3 is probably what I'm looking for. Oh fuck, there's multiple of those. Yikes. Okay, well, that's really important information. Damn it. Damn it. Alright, well, we'll make our opponent tap Mother of Runes to kill me. I'm going to hold up mana as if I have something, rather than tap out, play Sylvan Library, and guarantee the kill. There's only instant land sorcery in graveyard right now. Alright, so here's 8 incoming with trample, and there is the protection. So the protection from green here means that I can't block with any of these creatures, and that's just that. From the opponent's side, you can potentially make an argument that, like, they just win this game if they keep attacking and not going for it there, but like, what removal spell am I realistically bluffing? Not Dismember from 3 life with no black or anything, so I like going for it. And I think I'll run back the same sideboarding plan. Blood Moon's not the most exciting thing, but if I do it on turn 1 or turn 2, I might knock my opponent off of some colors. This just feels too fair. I just lost with a hand that looks like this, and I don't think play versus draw matters. Yeah. This is a bit YOLO for my liking, but I'm in. Junk that. Yo. Low. We're in play. Now, my opponent is potentially playing Force of Vigor. They certainly have a couple of basic lands in their deck. Basic Forest! I quit. I quit. Oh, that's daggers. So we are now on the 3-1 with no additional text beatdown. Actually, I guess that's not fair. It's 3-1 with can't block text. So there's land drop 3. Green Sun's really good from this position. Oh hey, a Green Sun from this position. That's just getting another mana dork so that white mana is online. This is now a free attack for 2 because my creature can't block. This is awful. Like, we're playing another one and just turning creatures sideways, but my opponent has 5 cards in hand and now has stable mana that largely ignores the Blood Moon. I expect that I'm scooping this one up pretty quickly. Cantrips are OP. Who let the green decks cantrip? Oh, I'm just getting punched again. That's not bad. But what's the follow-up? 3-4 flash endurance, probably. Let's play this post-combat. I'm getting ambushed by an endurance. I would rather it not potentially clear out my graveyard as well. Yep. We get a lightning bolt worth of damage in and lose one of these. Then we'll go ahead and amp Raptor. Hope to just like spike rhinos. Elvish Spirit Guide. Negative. Alright, so we have 2 bad red creatures versus a sometimes 4-5 endurance. And whatever else my opponent can cast. Okay. Yeah, so just generic removal here means that my opponent probably races me. I am not playing spells, and I need to be playing spells to keep up. But we only know one thing. We only know attack. What's my opponent got stuck in hand over there that they're not casting? Like, they could have a answer to a Blood Moon that they just don't want to play. Because I'm locked under my own Blood Moon. They could have a bunch of cards with multiple pips that are harder to cast. Could have more removal that they don't feel like they need to cast. Yeah, I'm just down in 2 turns here. It feels like my deck... I think I'm going to concede here, but I'm going to get this thought out first. It feels like my deck is pretty good at doing a thing, but then has no recourse if the thing that I initially do does not work. Okay. I don't think what I am doing here is fast enough. We're going to go ahead and mulligan this one. We're playing against a Yorion deck of some kind. Is this too fair? So I can have 6 cards in graveyard, which is enough for Hogaak. Where are my 2 creatures coming from? I'm going to say too fair. And now we're starting to get to the point where do I shamefully keep a hand and hope that it works out? Like, I can keep a 5-card hand that just like suspends into suspends and hope that that gets there. I, however, do not feel great about it. Oh man, these have been off all video. Whoops. Basic Plains. I'm upset. I'm very actively upset right now. Oh my god. We just fucking caught a stray bullet. I don't know what bitch. Okay. Basic, I think. Let's try to find a plan B here. I am hoping... Okay, well, you take that one. I am hoping that my opponent just ends up cycling the Vexing Bauble. Like, thinks it's irrelevant, cycles it, and then I can do Crashing Footfall stuff. But everything's a disaster here. It is my day to get bullied. More Basic Plains. Stoneforge for Cauldra is a scary clock here. It also just means that the backdoor plan of Crashing Footfalls or just trying to get there with a Hogaak are not really going to happen. I'm going to hope that I just punted. So it's do this, make the land drop, and then I can Hogaak. Yeah, I did not need to save the spawn there for any reason. More Basic Plains. Skyclave, you've got it. I'll take 1. I'm thinking about whether or not I want to concede in the hopes that my opponent boards out Vexing Bauble, not thinking that it's good when it's actually insane. If I cast this, I mill a bunch of cards, I potentially stay in the game, but I give my opponent more information when I've only showed them oddball self-mill cards so far. I think I'm going to tap out here. So a couple things didn't break our way, and then I made a play mistake that kept me from getting a Hogaak into play. We're going to call that loss on me. I'll own up to that one. I think I want a couple of Dismembers. I will potentially go down a couple of Legends versus my opponent's Karakas deck. I could do some things like Disruptor Flute in addition, but I think I'm just trying to get my opponent dead. I don't think I am winning the long game versus their deck. So I think we are trying to like turn 1 rhinos or turn 2 rhinos most of the time. I think a singular threat isn't really gonna do it versus my opponent's Swords to Plowshares deck. I could also like go down Sylvan Library, keep an extra legendary creature. Okay, so we can roll the dice on turns 2 and turn 3 with Amped Raptor, or I can mulligan this one and try to find something that goes faster. The issue is that Vexing Bauble can potentially come down on turn 1 and just ruin my best chances of wins. I think I'm willing to mulligan one hand that looks like this, but I would keep a second hand that looks like this. We have a Malevolent Rumble? We do. The land, Spirit Guide, Malevolent Rumble, make 1/1, Bloodbraid Marauder, off Simian Spirit Guide. Yeah, that's fine. Keep the one that can return anything. All right. Fetch. We'll go Taiga here. Malevolent Rumble. That was a lot of land. Oh, that's unfortunate. So land, sorcery. This is an enchantment, right? Okay. Creature, enchantment. This still works. I'll take a fetch, though. So 4 card types. Bam, bam. We'll cascade into rhinos. And this is the thing that we're doing this game. And we've got to hope that it's good enough. My opponent has like Swords of Plowshare, Solitudes, potentially Sideboard Path to Exile, and some number of very real blockers that can come down on turns 1 and 2. How much is to collect evidence? 6? Yeah, evidence 6 is not happening right now. I've only got 2 worth of mana value in the graveyard. I think I am willing to pre-combat say its name. Ooh, that was the reason why. Just returning a, like, Bayou. I'll return the Phoenix. Now, I'll gack. Bam, bam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got a lot of power. And this hopefully hedges against single spot removal spells better. I miss out on 8 damage this turn, but I, in theory, gain that damage right back next turn. I say in theory because cards like Caracas exist. Yeah, okay, so there's a Swords. So if I would have tried to attack for 11, I only would have gotten in for 7. Alright, Stoneforge for Kaldra is potentially happening here. So I can be sending in for 13 damage right now. I'm fetching. I think I still have fetchables? Fuck. Bayou's in the yard. That is very inconvenient. That doesn't go with the plan that I was making. I will take a Spring Heart Nantucko. And this doesn't produce mana this turn. We'll see if I get to limp over the finish line here. This is a lot of damage immediately, and I assume my opponent is taking all of it. There's Caracas, so future Hogaak style stuff is not on the table anymore. Okay, cool, we get there. I think I'm just whacking submit. Disruptor Flute could help versus Stoneforge Mystic. Blood Moon could help versus Caracas. But I'm not sure that either one of those things is actually all that strong. Okay, I only have a single mana with this hand. This one is not going to do it. Ancient Tomb does not cast any of my spells here. We are on 5 and not looking favored. The 5-card hand is very awkward. I Crashing Footfalls on turn 1, and then start immediately taking Ancient Tomb damage on turn 2. I'm not really accelerating appropriately. I think this is worse than an Amped Raptor gamble. I think I'm going to go deeper. Bruh, come on. Am I hoping to spike a land? Like, is that the stage that we're at? Is I am just fully hoping to hit a land drop to Amped Raptor on turn 1, and if I don't, I probably lose the game? I think that is acceptable. It doesn't feel good, but I think that's where we're at. That? We are trying to hit multiple high rolls here. I need to high roll into red land and then high roll probably into rhinos. I do not believe that the math favors me. But the heart of the cards. The heart of the cards, though. Pitch a Spirit Guide. Amped Raptor. Come on. Holy fucking shit. Alright, if you'll excuse me, the London Mulligan and I are going to go make out now. We are best friends. We've got 10 power on turn 1. I don't know that that's going to be good enough, but we've got it. What if I hit another untapped land, and then I get to Springheart Nantucko onto Amped Raptor, so Amped Raptor also gets to attack this turn? That would be fucking hot. Okay. Aldra's bad. Aldra's real bad. All right, we did not high roll here. We're just going to swing in the Rhino tokens. It's possible that I should bluff attack with Amped Raptor, but I think my opponent should have the read that I don't have Lightning Bolt in my deck if I'm trying to Cascade into Crashing Footfalls. Oh, no, they are going no blocks. They are scared. So I guess I'm passing turn. What's my plan versus this Cauldra? Lose? Maybe lose. Oh, shit. Yeah. That's very, very good. My opponent gets to wipe out the tokens. They can Ghost Quarter me. By the numbers, I have more green cards. But casting this Amped Raptor from my hand is probably the most important next play for me. Okay, nice. So, bam. I roll again? Let's go. A 3 energy Simian Spirit Guide. I accept. I'll be passing the turn here. We're going to start reaching the point of the game where my opponent's superior cards are going to just outvalue the stuff that I am doing on average. This is such a blowout. All right, so my opponent is just going to make a defensive Cauldra, and then once that's in play, they can pivot to using their resources for other stuff. More rhinos. All right, buckle up, I guess. We're gonna suspend that. I think we are here for the long haul. I don't think we win the long haul, but I think we're here for it. I do have one. Oh. That's bad. That's very, very obviously bad. So my opponent can Cauldra. They may or may not attack with it. They can just, like, Felia attack, blink Stoneforge Mystic, get another piece of equipment, either sack Thalia or Felia because it doesn't matter, or pro Reddit. All right, so opponent is going in. Yeah. Let's see if they are willing to tap Mom. They are willing to tap Mom. I'm going to end up taking 5. That puts a creature into my graveyard, which may or may not end up being relevant. I don't know which piece of equipment my opponent is going to get. I haven't seen black from them yet. All right, they are just going for a Lion Sash. That is perfectly reasonable and good. Grist is not castable. I still have another land, but at this point, I think I can go ahead and tap out. I think it's clear that my opponent has turned the corner on this one. Okay, so we have a little bit of acceleration, but we're just accelerating into this, or we can accelerate into Springheart Nantucket without necessarily having something like a Hogaak payoff. This looks at a lot of cards for a Hogaak. I don't know, let's try to play a slower game with this deck and just see what that feels like. Like, maybe we have the capacity to grind if we can keep a multiple Springheart Nantucket hand or find a Hogaak relatively quickly. I don't know, it just turns every Lightning Bolt, Fatal Push, whatever, into a 2-for-1 rather than a 1-for-1, which feels really bad. Okay, so it looks like we're dodging an immediate spot removal spell. So we're going to do this one. I'll make my thing. We're going to give a love tap for 1, I think. Maybe I play Malevolent Rumble first. Oh, no, it doesn't matter. I get another thing when I fetch. Yeah, I guess that's okay. Oh, I take Spirit Guide and play another Springheart Nantucket immediately. I think I'm just going to grab a Wasteland. That makes it easier to multi-spell next turn, which I may end up caring about. Prismatic Vista has me thinking about like a blue-white or maybe Jeskai control deck list. Lorien Revealed. It seems really weird to Swords to Plowshares with that timing. Like, I have 2 more bodies in play that I should, and my opponent has always had that card. We'll see if it ends up feeling correct. It may matter a lot less if they have something like main deck Wrath of the Skies. So I think I am into Bestow, Landfall, not paying. We'll go 4 deep with Malevolent Rumble. If that can get permanence. Oh yeah, we'll get a fucking Sylvan Library. Sick. And we'll go ahead and attack into, you know, a potential Snapcaster Mage or something. That seems fine. Alright, there's a Lorien Reveal cycle. Fetching a Tundra. Opponent maybe has, you know, Supreme Verdict, Terminus, Wrath of the Skies, looking for to kind of get rid of these things that are going wide. Sylvan Library also potentially an issue. And there's a fetch. Here's red mana. The Prismatic Ending, yes. More detectives, Phoenix. I mean, yeah, we can just turn dude sideways here. I, in theory, want the Sylvan Library down as soon as possible to get my value out of that, but I think I'm just going to try to reduce my opponent's life total to 0 rather than just grind with Sylvan Library. I can pretty easily collect evidence if one of these ends up going to the graveyard. Alright, there's 4th land. Seals like Wrath of the Skies. It is Supreme Verdict. Sure. That's a wastelandable land. Ew. Oh. Nice. I fucked that up. I could have left red open. I was always planning on wastelanding this Tundra, but if exactly this happens, it's really good to have the red available. No, what am I talking about? Amtraptor required the red. JK. Oh, no immediate concession. We're still playing Magic. There's a fetch land. Alright, no miracle on top. Alright. So it's pretty easy for my opponent to survive one turn. It just takes one white removal spell, 1 swords, 1 prismatic ending, or whatever. The following turn seems pretty rough. I could also just bestow onto Amped Raptor and collect some evidence this turn. Alright, yeah, sure. Yeah, so I can bestow from graveyard, right? Yeah. We'll go red for bestow. 2, 4, 6. I could probably look at card types a little more closely, but this is just lethal, so I'm not going to. Okay, well that was a very convincing win. What don't I like? I don't hate this as just a dude to play. Sometimes my mana doesn't really work out perfectly to cast that on turn 2. It's not crazy to do something short-sighted, like play Disruptor Flute on Supreme Verdict with this deck. The primary issue being that there are potentially multiple different named sweepers, so Disruptor Flute doesn't always hit the thing that I want. I might just be running back the same 60 here. I can suspend Crashing Footfalls on turn 1 and work towards Hogaak Crashing Footfalls in the same turn cycle. This feels unimpressive. I don't know that it's worth mulliganing. And my opponent's probably pondering here. Yep. And my opponent passes. That's a really weird draw. I don't know that it is worth trying to turbo out this immediately. I think I am just going to go ahead and settle in for a slightly longer game. Things can get a lot more interesting next turn, depending on what I draw. Then ticks down. Red Spirit Guide. I think despite the fact that this is an instant, I am willing to fire this off at sorcery speed. Marauder? Marauder. There are 5 card types in my graveyard. Okay. Bam and bam. We are gonna Cascade. We do the thing. Hopefully it resolves, because it's so fucking sweet if it does. Ooh. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Gack. All right. 19 power on board. Went from 0 power to lethal on board. I don't expect it to stay that way, but that was a hell of a fucking swing. This deck is capable of some pretty crazy things. I think my opponent needs more removal spells, like more Prismatic Vista type stuff, or they are in trouble. Alright, that's exactly what they need. Ooh, is there no land drop? Okay, now there is. So this is ticking down. This is still a 3-turn clock on its own. That is a very good draw that I am not quite ready for yet. So we'll send in for 7. Ooh, I think we are getting another single target removal spell here. Yes. My opponent is only taking 3. I will absolutely just cast a Spirit Guide as a 2/2 beat stick and be perfectly happy with that. Alright. I get an attack for 5, and then the following turn, we have rhinos. My opponent can counter or otherwise stop the rhinos. Things can get a little scary. Oh, fuck. Alright, well, we're all in, baby. So not this turn, but the following turn, a Supreme Verdict or equivalent happening probably stabilizes the game for my opponent. There's just land cycling. That's a lot of looks. Finding a Teferi, sure. So I'm glad Teferi didn't come down last turn, because this means that I can at least cast this. So yeah. Okay. I think I just have to kill the Planeswalker here. So that attack is happening. Am I hitting it with Elvish Spirit Guide too? I don't think so. I think that one goes face. The opponent is at 8. So, is there a sweeper? It is a devastating sweeper if it happens. There is not. So this can bounce a rhino. I still have lethal. Cool. Cool. Come on. Hot damn. We managed to put a couple of wins on the board with this deck, and I am happy with that performance. Okay. So what do we think of this? I think this is a cool premise. I think this is a very neat idea. I think the deck building here is relatively good. Perhaps this is not really realistic. I think I got this in just about every round. Like, I think it is just fine to run Say Its Name with no additional copies of it. Legacy games are so fast on average right now that I think trying to cast 3 of these in a game is not super realistic. Or even not cast, even just mill 3 of those. I don't really know that that's happening. I think this gives you a spot that you can mess around with. And then I'm not really sure how I feel about some of the singletons in the deck list. Like, did the Ancient Tomb get one of our opponents when we turboed out a Blood Moon? Yeah, that was a temporary mana boost that was relevant. But like, we ran out of fetchables in a match in a way that was horrifying. Especially since some of your lands just go directly to your graveyard sometimes off of the cards that look like this. So I don't know how I feel about some of these singletons. I would be exploring cards that already exist in other Hogaak shells to see whether or not there's some other things that you would like. This deck is not particularly black, so some of the things that might conceptually slot in, like your Poxwalkers type stuff, might not end up working well here. The cards that have multiple card types on them to power up Bloodbraid Marauder sooner are quite good. I might get rid of like Ancient Tomb and Wasteland and maybe Altanok. I might get rid of those, or like one more Tree of Tales, one Great Furnace, the red artifact land, and then one more fetchable land. Or maybe you can play something like an Oliphant or a whatever the green food cycler tree thingy is to help get creatures into the graveyard to fuel this as well. But this is a pretty cool idea. It's definitely got some real deck building restrictions in trying to make this work, but I think this is unquestionably powerful. Our Hogaaks saw some action in the last couple of rounds, not a lot earlier on in the league. There are a few other singletons here that you could maybe mess around with, but like, again, these are enchantments and planeswalkers. These are weird card types for enabling this. So I think even though some of the numbers look a little wonky, this is overall a pretty neat deck list. And I'm gonna give this deck a thumbs up for fun, but you know, maybe don't bring it to Eternal Weekend. Anyway, folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and if you need some cards, you know where to go. Promo code ThrabenU to let them know that I sent you. All right, see ya.